AJ Bray. I coach women's basketball. I'm from Texas, but currently living in Florida, coaching at Trinity College of Florida, and excited to be here.
Welcome back to the next episode of Image Bearer, Stories of the Imago Dei. I got a good friend, Coach AJ Bray, that I recently met, and I'll let AJ introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is AJ Bray. I coach women's basketball. I'm from Texas, but currently living in Florida, coaching at Trinity College of Florida, and I'm excited to be here.
Yes, man. Thanks. All right, Coach. So we just recently met, probably, I'm going to say, a month and a half ago or something. And I'm grateful that the Lord has brought you to Trinity and let our paths kind of cross, man. I reached out to you a couple of days ago and said, man, I'd love to have you on just to hear your story. And I know that there's a lot to unpack. And as much as you're comfortable to share, I'd love to hear your testimony.
Yep.
And just let you riff, man.
Yeah. For me, I grew up in a military family. So I moved around quite a bit, not too much, but moved around. I was born in Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay.
That's where my parents met. My dad that was his first duty station.
Yep.
And then my mother, her dad's duty station was Alaska. And so once she graduated high school, my dad was there for, his first duty station, and they kind of met, they got introduced. And they had my sister first, my older sister in 1988, and kind of, had my brother after that, and then had me in 1994. So they were kind of in and out of Alaska. I'm
91, so I got to ask, is Alaska, I know it's beautiful in pictures. Yeah. How bad is it cold? Is it amazing?
I mean, it's pretty cold. My mom wants to move back one day, and my dad said never.
Okay.
He'd never do that. So pretty cold from what I remember.
Yeah.
Not somewhere I would want to live.
Yeah.
But definitely, a nice place to grow up. Good military town in Anchorage.
Right.
And so it's a lot of military people. Moved to Virginia after that.
Okay, that's my home.
Yeah, we were at Fort Belvoir, Alexandria.
Yes, bro. I was born in Alexandria. It's my home.
That's where we were. And then after that, ended up moving to Texas around September.
Fort Hood, Fort Bliss?
No, I was at Fort Sam.
Okay.
San Antonio. We were there. We moved right before September 11th happened. Right before, because I remembered I was in first grade, and I remember when September 11th happened, and my grandmother worked for FAA at the time, and then my dad was in the military, of course, and we had just got to San Antonio, so it was just a big deal because we were like, yo, what's going on? And we had to get evacuated from the school and everything, of course, because it was on a military installation. And
so two things. What branch was your dad?
He was Army.
Okay, me too. Yeah. What was his MOS?
He started off infantry.
Okay,
and then after that, he went to military police.
We gotta have Dad on, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool 11 Bravo to 31. I don't know. MP.
Yep. MP.
Okay.
And he's retired now. He retired, but he still works for the Army.
Yeah, good man. Good for him. Dad, thank you for your service, brother. But the reason I was asking is you're at one of the most sensitive times in history.
For sure.
With 9/11, and then you're like, oh gosh, this is hitting home, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was, I was kind of just getting used to it because my dad, he was a recruiter at first. We lived after Virginia, we moved to Fort Worth with my grandmother because he was a recruiter, so he can kind of live anywhere he wanted to. So we were there, and then he ended up going to San Antonio, and that's when September 11th happened, and he was an MP. And we were kind of just, figuring things out, and, the war started and kind of figuring out. He never ended up going to Iraq or Afghanistan, but he went to Korea though. So he was deployed to Korea for a year, and he would travel quite a bit.
Sure. That's a big blessing, man.
Yeah, we were super lucky about that. And we kind of just went from there. And then I did all my schooling in San Antonio. So elementary school, middle school, high school, it was all in San Antonio.
So Texas is kind of second home.
Yeah,
that's kind of main
like
home.
Second home. My dad's originally from Florida.
Okay.
But yeah, Texas is like second home.
You guys are good old boys, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got lucky. And part of the reason we stayed is because I kind of grew up. I was pretty sick growing up. I went through a lot of struggles, had a lot of health issues. And so, we got lucky enough to stay there because of that. There was just certain places that, they weren't going to move us because I needed to be, BAMC is one of the best hospitals in the military. That's the top hospital. And so it was always pertinent for me to be kind of near a really good hospital. And so that's why we stayed at Fort Sam.
So, Coach, I got to ask two things. One, how old were you? Again, as much as you're comfortable, I don't make this weird, but I know that's a formidable time of your life. God's kind of making you from a young age to go through things that are not normal to a lot of others. And there's, we don't believe in accidents. We believe that God is doing something. And I'd love to unpack, like, hey, I was this old. This is what I was dealing with. That's powerful.
Yeah, I would say 0 to 13, really. I had something called sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
So it's a blood disorder. So basically, some of my red blood cells were crescent moon shaped instead of the round that they're supposed to be. And so sometimes they get caught up during your bloodstream. And when they get caught up, it causes just a lot of pain. And, they call it a crisis. And so my older brother actually passed away from sickle cell before I was born.
Wow.
So my parents, they had me in 1994. They had my brother in 1990. He passes away in 1992 from sickle cell.
Oh, my gosh.
And sickle cell is something genetic. So both of my parents had the trait. So that's like, you don't really have any problems from it, but you had that trait in your blood. And so for them, it was a 25% chance that their kid would have sickle cell, and it happened twice. And so after he passed away in 92, they decided they wanted to have another kid. Hopefully, since it's a 25% chance, they were thinking, he probably not gonna have sickle cell. And then I came 94 and I had it. And so I kind of dealt with that my whole life. And then once I turned about 13, 7th grade, the doctors came to me and they was like, we kind of got to do something because it's getting bad. And, for him to live better.
You're in pain.
Yeah, I was in pain. I was just in and out of the hospital. So, I would kind of, you just be at school one day and, you just start hurting real bad and you got to go to the hospital. That was just something I kind of dealt with. But I think I didn't think of it as really abnormal because it's always been like that. So since I can remember, I was always in and out
that's
of the
just my
hospital.
life.
It was just my life, yeah. And so, but then, around 13, they were kind of like, we got to do something. Because, there was a time my father was deployed and they had him come back because they were like, we don't know how he's going to do. So you might want to come back just in case. So we would deal with kind of stuff like that. Then at 13, the doctors were like, if you want, we can kind of try to do something and have a bone marrow transplant. And so I had a bone marrow transplant. I missed my whole 7th grade year of school just to do that.
Bro.
Did chemotherapy, did all that. And it worked. I say it kind of worked because technically, like if you look at my blood now, you could still see like low hemoglobin, stuff like that. But I don't really suffer from, I don't get sick. I haven't been in the hospital in years. So I think it worked.
Sure. By the good definition, it worked.
Exactly, right. It worked. And so that's kind of what I dealt with from 0 to 13. And then, after 13, I kind of lived a pretty normal life. I was able to, play sports, excel in sports, do everything I want to do. And I still do that now. There's still, remnants of things that, happen. I got a hip replacement already because, I just had problems with my joints and stuff growing up. But I look at it as a blessing, though, because, I'm never in the hospital, nothing like that. And so pretty much after 13, my childhood was pretty normal. I just had to get to that point.
That's it. That's it, man. Coach, we're gonna have to do. We're gonna keep going, but we're gonna have to do a part 2. I know there's a lot to unpack, and that is gold, man. That is gold because you talk about some things that there's a lot of variables you can control and things you can't control.
Yeah, for sure.
And last I checked, not just males but females, human beings made in the image of God. We are prideful, stubborn, selfish people. Yeah. And, we're not dropping to our knees until you have to, until you hit rock bottom. Yep. And so C.S. Lewis has a cool quote. He says, pain is the megaphone that God uses to rouse a deaf and dying world. Yep. It's not meaningless or purposeless. Now, there's oftentimes we're raging and shaking our fists and say, where are you? This is love. It is overwhelming love. Yep, it is love that you can't fathom. And, we wouldn't pick it. It's usually not on the radar, but it is good. It is better.
Exactly.
Man, just thank you, bro. Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful. Let's go to before we get to where you're currently at. I'll plug one more. So, would you say there's a time in your life personally where your intimate relationship with the Lord was like, man? For me, at least, I know it was kind of fairy tale, Peter Pan, Santa Claus, Jesus was in the same category. And then when it became real, it radically transformed me. I'd love to hear, like, dude, I didn't really have before and after the same way. When Christ so the Bible says that no man comes to me unless the Father draws him. Jesus spoke that. So I'm thinking there's nothing Steve or AJ, there's nothing we can do to earn favor with him. This is entirely an act of God. Ephesians says that we were dead in our trespasses and sins, and that faith is a gift of God so that no man can boast. And man, I know more than I know we're sitting here talking that there's a lot of reasons I should be dead or in prison. And by the grace of God, he drew me to himself, and now I'm running that way. And I know that you're not sitting in this room, you're not sitting in Trinity, you're not doing life the way you are because you believe in random happenstance coincidence. I'd love to hear your story.
For me, I was raised, in the church. No matter what was going on, no matter how much pain I was in, my parents always made it clear, you're still here, and you gotta give all glory to God, and he's gonna get you through this. So
good, very good.
It was nothing, random. That was always just how I was raised. It was always prayer. It was always,
Man.
when you're not in the hospital, we going to church. It was things like that. It was my church members and my pastors coming to visit me in the hospital, little things like that. And so church was, always something that was in my life. And, I always knew how powerful the Lord was. So I never lost faith or anything like that. There were times where I think I doubted it sometimes. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm a good person. God, why am I the one going through this when, there's people who I go to school with who are doing God knows what, and, they don't deal with this. But I think the older I got, I realized that he was using me as a vessel, and so it was never a situation where, once I got older, I was like, everything happens for a reason. My mother is real sick too. She's still sick to this day. She has multiple sclerosis. And so we always just kind of connected growing up. She was always going through things too. So she could always kind of just tell me, everything happens for a reason. And I think the older I got, I got to the point where I was never going to let anything stop me. So like I was always playing sports. I was always doing everything. I was getting in trouble sometimes, because I didn't want to be, just because I was dealing with some stuff, I didn't want to not be able to do other stuff. So sometimes I get in trouble just to
be normal,
just to be normal and just to do things that I wasn't supposed to do. But all of it ended up, working out for the better.
That's so good, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't even want to talk. I just want to listen to you. You are 30 years old.
Yep.
I have so many thoughts. My first thought is the massive blessing of having parents that are guiding and protecting you in a biblical way that honors God.
Yep.
Not just because I want, this sounds bad, but not just because parents want the best for their kids. That's their devotion to Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they love you, they're feeding you truth. And man, those are things that, you talk about. I just kind of always was told that this is true, and then it became real, and then, yeah, I do believe this, and then you walk through, I'm going through things and just wanting to be normal, like people that don't have this. I have, I'm going to have to, maybe I'll have you shoot me. I'm going to have to do my episode to unpack a little bit more because not everybody's going to know who I am, but my wife and I have 4 kids, and one of our kids has Down syndrome, born with a bunch of holes in his heart. He's on a feeding tube. But and I'd have to walk through this story, but I hear things as his dad, man, that I want for him, that Rachel and I, my wife and I, would guide him and say, I don't want you to struggle the way of me not believing for so long and fighting and hating and doubting and resenting God. More than I know I'm sitting here, I know he's real, and I want you to believe that.
Yeah.
So if the blessing of him growing up would be to say what you just said of, I just kind of always knew this was true. Man, that's a massive blessing. There's a lot of people that live and die without, not even, forget thinking it's true, just actively rebelling and saying there's no way I would want that to be true.
Yeah.
Just, man, I love, easy to love you, bro. Easy to love that story, and praise God, man. So, all right, let's go to where AJ is currently at right now, walking through life. I'm sure you got a lot of changes. Just getting into a small Bible college here and trying to steward that well, and it's easy to see why you love people, But anything right now you'd say, yep, I'm currently walking through and God's kind of forming me around this?
Yeah, I think just basketball in general has been something that's always been something that kind of just helped me be positive. Even just growing up, like it was always something I gravitated towards. I always liked just sports in general. I come from a real sports type of family. My dad, my mom, my aunties, my sister, my grandma, everybody's into sports. And so for me, growing up, again, it was never something I wasn't going to do just because
sports is life, bro.
I was sick or anything like that. I was always still, I started playing organized basketball probably like 4th, 5th grade. And it was just something I was always into. I was always into a lot of sports though, because I went to a military school. So it was really small. We had about 400 kids at our school. And so we were able to kind of play whatever we wanted. So I gravitated towards basketball, soccer, and tennis. Tennis was probably my best sport.
That's a bougie sport. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my best sport. I was really good at tennis.
Nice.
But basketball was always the one I loved the most. And I think, having a lot of downtime, sometimes just being sick and things like that, I just got a lot of time to watch basketball. And I think watching it kind of made me appreciate it a little more. And then, on the other side of that, my dad, he cared about me a lot. He cares about me a lot still. And, he knew how much I like basketball. And so what we would do sometimes on the weekends, just so he could try to, make me happy, I think looking back at it now, is he would kind of take me downtown San Antonio. He kind of knew what hotel that the basketball players would stay at.
Okay.
And we would kind of just chill out there.
You didn't meet Tim Duncan?
And meet him. I met pretty much everybody.
You met Tim Duncan?
I met Tim Duncan before. I've met Kobe Bryant. I got pictures with Kobe.
Chill.
I've met Shaq. Shaq graduated from the high school.
I don't know if I've ever been more jealous than I am right now.
Yeah, so
unless you say, I don't know if you're gonna impress me with this. You know who Alex Ovechkin is?
Yeah, of course, the hockey player. Yes.
You didn't meet Alex.
Yeah. No, I never met
I swear
Alex.
I'm gonna kick you out of this room.
Never met
that's
Alex.
my guy. So,
no.
But you talk about Kobe, of course.
Yeah, the
Tim.
basketball players.
These are some of the goats, man.
Yeah, and so I've met a lot of those guys. That was just kind of me and my dad's hobby growing up. We would call ourselves paparazzi. We would just kind of go out there and try to take pictures. And all of that just kind of brought me close to basketball.
Right.
And then I also have an aunt, my mom's sister. She was married to a guy named Mick Cronin. He's the head basketball coach at UCLA right now. And so growing up, I would, be around him a lot too. And I would go to practices and just talk to him. And all of that just brought me to coaching. That's what I feel like. And I've also just loved helping people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, sorry, your aunt was married to Mick Cronin.
Yep.
And I don't know. I've heard his name. Mick Cronin is currently the coach of UCLA.
Yeah, men's basketball.
Yeah. So this is a dumb question, but is there any connection to that still? Like, we're a basketball family, but I don't know how they got. That's a whole story, I'm sure. But
no, 100%. Yeah, we're still connected. I still talk to him often. I ask for advice. When I was coaching high school, I would tell him, the players we had at our school and connect them and.
Yeah, how much time? What's your relationship with? Like, we were acquaintances. No, we're close. We're
yeah. He was married to my aunt, and I'm really close to my aunt. Like, we're a very close family.
How long were they together?
They were together pretty much my whole childhood. I remember going to their wedding, and they got married when I was maybe 8 or 9, and they got a kid together. And so that's my little cousin.
When did they split?
Maybe trying to think.
Like recently?
No, not recently. It's been a while now. Probably when their daughter was in middle school, and she just graduated high school in June.
Yeah, so they were married for 15 years.
Yeah, they was married a long time. And so
the reason I was asking is that's a cool. Man, I'd like to think I'm like really good at the 30,000 foot view and like the bark on the tree in front of me. And this is a 30,000 foot view of you're sitting in. For those of you who don't know, Trinity College of Florida. Here's a plug. I love Trinity. We are a very small Bible college. I think it's a blessing, but it is niche. And it's cool because without getting into all that, you can see how God threads together like the macro to the micro.
For sure.
Right? And AJ sitting here is like, yeah, I love people. I love the Lord. I love to coach. It's a cool opportunity. Not everybody is going to be able to be okay with like, yeah, it's really small. And it's cool to see how God uses people. I just think it's a cool highlight, man.
Yeah, it's cool. And, he coached, he's at UCLA now, but when they first got together, he was coaching at Murray State. And so I seen like that's a pretty small school. I mean, now it's a little bigger,
Sure,
Ja Moran and all that, but that's a pretty small school comparatively to UCLA. And so I kind of just was always around that growing up, and he would, you know,
I was gonna say, any connection to Ja? Or?
No, he was already gone by the time Ja was there. But he would always just give me tickets to the games. I would go to practices, and you know, all of that kind of just led me into coaching. And then I was a teacher for 5 years too. And while I was teaching, that's kind of how I started coaching. And then after that, I realized, you know, I really like coaching. And so I moved to Paris, started coaching basketball in Paris, France. Then I came back over here, started doing high school, and then now I'm here.
Yeah. So let me, this might take a turn, but dude, it's cool. Like, I'm going to start making these. These are like the first couple that we're getting into, but I'm going to take it more of a, you know, so Joe Rogan is super casual, just brings on because he's got a platform. People know his name. Whoever is bringing, they have a name. So they don't have to sales pitch who they are and what they're talking about. I would like to be as casual, but also formal enough to make sure we're hitting, like, here's why we're doing this.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But one of the more casual points here is you said you were teaching for 5 years. What was when you got out of high school? What was your first job? Was it always a love of people? Because I hear teaching, coaching. You know, those are hospitable. You got to be a people person and love people, or you're not gonna make it. You know, So what was your first? This is my goal. I'm gonna go to college, and I really want to use my degree for this. Was it always teaching? Yeah,
it was. I transferred a few times, so my major flipped and flopped, but I graduated with a degree in history. My major was history. My minor was psychology. So I kind of always knew I wanted to be a teacher, though. I started off doing teaching, though. But then I moved to a school that didn't have the education major I wanted. So I was like, well, I'll just do it in the subject. So I did it for teaching. And then when I graduated, I became a teacher. I taught elementary school. I did kindergarten through 5th grade. And I did that for 5 years. But the school I was at was...
That's rough.
The school I was at, though, was a charter school. And so, you know, one good thing about charter school is we had a pretty good sports program. Even for 4th and 5th grade, we had a basketball team. And, you know, they kind of just let me kind of do my thing. You know, they were kind of like, you know, here's our basketball team. And, you know, you like basketball, so you kind of figure it out.
Right.
And so, I mean, I coached them like they were a high school team. That's what everybody would say.
That's so good. Yeah.
And... you know, now it's at the point where a lot of those kids that I coached in the 5th grade are going to play college soon. Because I just coached them at a high level. And that's when I really realized I really like coaching. And so then I just kind of moved up the ladder from there.
And that's a natural, like, I was just talking with another brother the other day about, like, the inerrant thing in a male is, like, we're super competitive.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't care if Johnny's 5 years old or 15, like, we're going to win. You
exactly.
know?
And that's
people say, oh, did you have fun? Losing is not fun.
Yeah.
I don't care what, oh, we had fun. You want to win.
Yeah. And so that's where it all started.
That's cool, dude. Yeah. So you talk about my major was psychology. That is like a perfect, I don't know if there is a people connected psychology. That's person.
100%.
That's cool, man. So, all right. We got to where you're currently at, taking over this girls team and making that your own and in a healthy way of putting your name on this and saying, you know, how could I honor God and win, you know?
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely a hybrid of not, like, people have a conviction of you can't be Christian and successful. I hear they're hard. I know that there is truth in some categories, but dude, you look at some guys that have massive platforms. Tim Tebow's story is incredible.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's a weird Christian. I don't care. Call him a weird Christian, but he loves the Lord. He was really good.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples is Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Coach. I mean,
yes.
He's one of my favorite coaches, and he's quick to, you know, talk about his
Yes. Faith. Yes, bro. All right. Coach, thank you.
Yeah,
I want to close with this. Talked about your testimony. Talked about where you're at, some stories forming you. How can any other human being that might watch, how can we be praying for Coach AJ?
I think in any way, I think, you know, all prayer is acceptable, and there's no prayer that I won't accept. So, you know, anyway, pray for pray for peace, pray for
Yes.
progress, and pray for others as well.
That's
you
right.
know, because you never know what people are going through. So you gotta be a positive light for everybody you come across.
Yes, bro. All right, I'm gonna pray for us now,
Yeah.
if that's all right, and we'll cap it off. God, thank you so much for Coach AJ. Thank you for this time. Thank you for what you've done in his life from birth, just kind of orchestrating a lot of pieces, a lot of instruments that have pointed a finger back to you, and I know that he's touched so many lives and just shared his story, and you have used him. God, I pray that you continue to use him in this time right now as he's taking over the girls. Help them to trust him, help them to know that his heart is for them and ultimately for you. I thank you for Coach AJ. I'd love to follow up with him if that's in your will. I hope he knows that he is loved by you, and easy to love Coach AJ. So just thank you for this time, and we ask in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Coach, thank you, brother.
Yeah,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it, man.
Yeah.